Lucianelle Sensei's research building is surrounded by an assassination squad who plan to kill the prince and princess during the revolution. Tiarietta, Hart, and Porcos are interrupted by intruders in black cloaks who surround them and demand that Tiarietta come with them. Hart uses his magic gun to fight back, and they escape through a secret passage. Tiarietta leads them to a crowded place, but they encounter dark humanoid deformities. They are joined by 3 student fighters. At the community cemetery, Frey transforms into a giant wolf and scares off onlookers before demolishing a magic circle. She then receives a communication from a student team struggling against elder ghouls and flies to their aid with Haruto C and his team members. In the battle against the ghouls, the enemy captain reappears and is attacked by Tiarietta's magic gun. When the captain transforms into a ghoul and is about to cause chaos, Frey uses Flame Fenrir to destroy the ghouls and the magic circle. Haruto senses a possible threat due to his appearance. Frey transforms into a female form, revealing ears and a tail. She fights the elder ghouls while Haruto stays back. Iris wants to help, but Frey tells her to stay out of the way. Frey introduces herself, but Haruto already knows her name. Tiarietta gives Haruto a magic gun with replenished bullets. Haruto fires the gun into the woods. Haruto discovers a secret meeting between Giselot and a man planning a revolution and assassination of the king. He attempts to gather information through eavesdropping, but is unsuccessful due to their effective wards. Later, Haruto observes and supports Rias and the others in defending the academy against a mystery squad. He reflects on their impressive strength and wonders about the differences between them and Lisa and Frey. Haruto also takes action to retrieve Professor Tia and brings her to safety with Rias and the others. He confronts Baron Agos, who reveals information about a demon god named Mercumenes and their plan to revive it. However, Haruto reveals that the king is actually alive, rendering their plan pointless. Haruto shows minimal interest in the concept of a homunculus. Haruto interrogates Agos about demons, fiends, and witches. Agos is scared, but offers information in exchange for his life. Haruto mutilates Agos to make him a test subject for future reference. Agos is now compliant. Charles, Lisa, and Frey are helping Haruto in his mission. Haruto takes Agos's head to the royal palace. King Gurk is in his room reflecting on the explosion at the meeting and the demon outbreak in the city. He's alive and unharmed, thanks to Giselot's failed attempt to kill him and the aristocracy's overlords. Gurk still thinks he has the blessing of Mija, the protector of the kingdom, and sees this event as an opportunity to take revenge. Suddenly, the Black Warrior Shiva appears, holding a live head. Shiva reveals that Baron Valagos tried to kill Gurk and take over the kingdom, and Giselot was part of the plan. He warns Gurk not to charge Giselot and not to investigate the people who fought the demons in the city. Shiva also warns Giselot not to pursue Tiaretta, a professor of ancient magic at the academy, and tells her to take care of her collar. Mercumenes, a demon specialized in survival, runs away from the Black Warrior and senses an abnormality in his magic power. At the Royal Granfelt Special Grade Magic Academy, Professor Tiarietta converses with a girl wearing a white mask about the King's Capital disturbance incident. The identity of the bloodless Fourth-Day Fear remains unknown, but the Underground Student Council will be confronted. Professor Tia will assist with this operation. Professor Tia discusses her interpretation of demon gods and asks for Haruto's assistance in torturing a captive nobleman named Valagos for information. While examining the captive's head, they are interrupted by Heart C. Professor Tia confronts Haruto's copy, and Haruto expresses his desire to drop out of school. Tia advises him against it, citing the weight of the king's recommendation. Haruto then suggests staying indoors instead, prompting Tia to propose the idea of attending school without actually attending classes. Belcom interrupts and grabs Haruto C by the collar, and Tia explains how the king's recommendation affects Haruto's father. After discussing potential strategies to continue attending school without being tied to classes, Haruto wonders if it's even possible. Haruto's plan to leave school early hits a dead end, so he decides to stay in school under the guise of doing research on his own. But this proves difficult due to the biased lectures and his limited knowledge. Haruto and Heart C come up with a plan to not attend lectures and cheat on exams with Lisa's help. Professor Tia agrees to let Haruto use her lab as his home away from home. However, there are concerns about living with Professor Tia, as she may find out about Haruto's true identity. Despite this, Haruto is determined to pass the written exam and legally skip classes. The problem now is the practical skills class. Haruto had an idea for a new class called Magic Shooting, Precision Class. During the first class, a bird interrupted Haruto and he failed to hit the target. However, his ability to remote control the stone crushers was praised by the teacher. Haruto showed his magic gun to a silver-haired male student named Alexei Guberg, who appeared to be from 1, the mysterious masked student group called Numbers. Alexei tried to use the magic gun, which only Haruto and his copy can use, but failed. The two were challenged to a game where they had to hit 5 targets. Haruto's objective was to legally skip class by winning an overwhelming victory. He came up with a plan to shoot down Alexei's magic and attack his targets, in addition to his own. The game was chaotic, and Haruto ended up destroying all the targets with a suppressive shot. The teacher and students were left in shock. The magic shooting class was cancelled when the sensei didn't return. Haruto didn't want to skip the next class, even though he found interpersonal kumite scary. The purpose of the class was to use physical strengthening and magic without guns, and he struggled as he lacked experience. Haruto decided to go with the flow and watched others fight. Eventually, he stood up and faced Alexei, who was known for his magic skills. Haruto defeated him and was praised by the teacher. Haruto realized that he had nothing left to learn in the class and decided to talk to the school about getting credit without attending the class. Haruto reports to Professor Tia on his mission result and meets Iris training in magic. He observes that Iris has a current magic level of 5 out of a maximum of 35, and her progress is stagnant due to some tubes tangled in her back. Haruto untangles the tubes and triggers a magic runaway that raises Iris's magic level to 23. Professor Tia checks on Iris's condition, and Haruto receives thanks from her. A little girl with glasses asks for more information with a smirk. Iris faints, and Haruto takes her to a nap room before going to the lab. He explains the situation to Professor Tia, and they discuss the concept of magic levels and the tubes connected to it. They both want to test their own levels, but Haruto can't see his back to count the tubes. Professor Tia decides to take off her shirt to examine her own magic level. They are interrupted by a group of people, including Professor Oratoria Belcom. Haruto and Professor Tia are expelled for their forbidden relationship, but Professor Belcom offers them a deal to stay in school for 2 years without attending classes in exchange for exploring the Olympian ruins. Professor Tia questions the point of the exploration. Haruto turns to Iris and asks about their relationship, but she misunderstands. Haruto planned on avoiding classes and requested to use a room in Professor Tia's research building as his base, but the room was a mess and had to be cleaned. Charlotte and Frey offered to help, and Lisa joined too. After cleaning, Haruto brought in a bed and a chest of drawers, and the base was almost ready to go. Professor Tia asked if he could act like a serious student. Later, Professor Belcom arrived, stating the negotiation was successful and the headmaster will explain the details. Professor Tia was surprised, and they waited for the headmaster to arrive. Haruto stood alone in front of the principal's office, feeling nervous about meeting someone he had never talked to before. His friend, Professor Tia, declined to accompany him, citing her potential complications with the headmaster. Haruto took a deep breath and entered the office, where he was surprised to find a man who looked just like his adopted father doing a headstand. They were soon joined by the headmaster, a beautiful woman who explained that they had a request from Haruto's teachers to allow him to focus on magical research and skill training outside of classes. While they praised his talents and abilities, the headmaster questioned why his magic level was only 2 and expressed doubt about the validity of the crystal measurement. Haruto offered to prove it by taking another measurement, but the headmaster apologized for doubting him, and the meeting ended on a positive note. During a meeting between the headmaster, his dad, and himself, Haruto learns about the conditions in exchange for tuition exemption. Passing a written exam and completing a graduation exam involving exploring the dangerous ruins of Olympus and retrieving the 7 sacred treasures. Haruto agrees to take on the challenge and requests to form a party. The dean allows him to team up with the Black Warrior, a skilled fighter. Haruto plans to use his warding magic to find the treasure and credits Haruto Zenfis for the victory. Haruto returns to his paradise and tells the group about their plan. Frey, Lisa, and Char offer to accompany Haruto. Johnny and Gigan can't go as they look like members of the demon race. Haruto C, who looks like Haruto, is also asked to go. They seek permission from the head of the academy, but are initially rejected for having half-demon members. They return to seek help from Professor Tia for a solution and discover that Haruto C's sister, Char, has tremendous potential, and she joins the group. Professor Tia gets straight to the point, urging Char to attend the same school as her brother. Char quickly reveals she has already obtained their mother's permission for this. Haruto notes that although he doesn't fully understand what is happening, if his mother has given permission, his father will likely not object. Char is skilled at what she does, and Haruto remembers his father saying she would make a great ruler. Haruto agrees to go to school with Char, to not only fulfill his reclusive life, but also to support Char's future. Less than an hour southeast of the royal capital was the ruins of Olympus. A decaying ruin appeared behind a cliff after passing through a forest and going deep into a hilly valley. Large pillars, some collapsed, dotted the area, resembling something you might find in Greece. Near the cliff, a building that appeared like a palace with a labyrinthine dungeon in the basement sat. Char and Iris unexpectedly showed up, eager to be a part of Haruto's ruin exploration mission. They quickly created a means of transportation and entered the ruins, only to encounter a huge rock-eater with a circular mouth and countless teeth. Haruto defeated the huge rock-eater in one blow, surprising everyone, including Iris and Char, who were left in awe. A strong demon appeared at the entrance of the ruins, and Haruto defeated it. He suggested pretending that Char beat it instead. They entered a temple-like building and found it surprisingly well preserved. A map displayed in front of Haruto showed their location. They encountered an undead type demon called the Wandering Knight and defeated it. Iris surprised everyone with her martial arts skills. They were chased by a large group of armored knights, leading Professor Tia to suspect foul play. Haruto and Char easily defeated the knights. They continued their exploration, with Haruto eager to finish and report to the headmaster. Iris expressed her excitement at working with her brother, to Haruto's annoyance. In a dimly lit room, a crystal floats at the center, surrounded by spinning magic circles. A pure demon, Mercumenes, crouches in a corner of the room. She is tasked with resurrecting demon god Lucifera, but after encountering a powerful being, she becomes obsessed with survival. When a girl, boy, and girl in men's clothing arrive, Mercumenes sends powerful demons at them. As they cook pizza and easily defeat the demons, they progress deeper into the ruins. Mercumenes resigns herself to their progress and watches as they disappear through a door created by the boy. She realizes they use teleportation magic and considers escaping herself, but she has no magical power left. The protagonist has successfully created soy sauce and miso from the ingredients of this world. They had a yakiniku party to celebrate the completion of their exploration assignment. Professor Tia was late as she was reporting to the dean, but returned safely. They found a little girl in the ruins, possibly the source of all the evil in the ruins. She was supposed to be a sacrifice for a ritual, but managed to escape. They brought her back and gave her some grilled meat. They will wait until she calms down before asking her what happened. Mercumenes couldn't sleep after dinner due to reduced magic powers. She contemplated uprooting other people's magic for recovery, but hesitated due to the danger to Teresa and the presence of Haruto. Later, Haruto left for the ruins of Olympus, leaving only Teresa with Mercumenes. She planned to lead demons to Haruto to divert his attention from Teresa. Mercumenes pretended to be feeble and fragile, waiting for the right timing to speak about the holy armor that Haruto was looking for. She noticed Haruto's use of communication and clairvoyance magic. He also mentioned the absence of demons 50 floors below. Mercumenes collapsed on the sofa, contemplating her next move. During lunch, Haruto and his group were surrounded by a pot of yosinabe. They discussed the existence of a holy armor in the ruins in Granfield, the one who brought back all the holy weapons known to exist. Professor Tia mentioned an indentation in the wall with faint ancient script which read, "It is the one that pierces the devastated earth. It is the one that pierces the demon's walls." Char excitedly suggested that it's a Roman weapon, and Professor Tia concluded that it's a representation of the characteristics of a holy weapon. Haruto suggested creating a holy armor if it doesn't exist, and the group continued their exploration. Haruto needs to find a holy weapon to gain his freedom from the academy, but it has already been taken and evidence of it destroyed. His sister suggests creating a weapon instead, and they decide to make a powerful, portable weapon in the shape of a stake. They brainstorm different ideas and designs, and Haruto surprises everyone by already having a prototype. Charles is excited, Iris is skeptical, and Liza is unsure. They proceed to test the weapon, knowing that making the real thing will be the biggest challenge. Haruto tests the fake holy weapon and asks Professor Tia for a castle wall to break. She clarifies that all major buildings have protective barriers using earth veins, making the walls dozens of times stronger than mere stone walls. They go to the ruins of Olympus to test the weapon, where Haruto adds functions to it. He destroys a wall with a single blow, and Charles is pleased. Professor Tia confirms the weapon's power and asks why he used it at point-blank range. Haruto admits it's for maximum power, but also for romance. He decides to name the weapon and leaves to tend to an intruder in the research building. Porcos was startled by a loud explosion and saw a man with long white hair laughing upside down outside his window. The man, Ors, was there to save Mercumenes, who had lost her power due to the depletion of magic. Mercumenes panicked as Ors threatened to kill her and demanded to know what had happened. Suddenly, something transparent pushed Ors out of the window, and a black man appeared, calling himself Shiva and demanding justice for the torture of a little girl, which confused Ors. Ors prepared for a fight. Demon Ors did not attack immediately. Instead, he wanted to find a solution to the mysterious phenomenon that led him here. He realized that Shiva was good at using illusions and taking opponents by surprise. Ors laughed at Shiva's agitation and claimed to have excellent magic detection ability. However, he had not taken into account the drawbacks of this ability. Ors transformed into a huge bipedal leopard beast and released his magic power. Shiva attacked with small barriers that shot through Ors's back. Ors tried to recover, but it was too exhausting for him. Shiva thrust out his fist and erased Ors's head and chest with a stake-shaped weapon. Shiva and Mercumenes made a cool video that crushed Ors with a single blow. Haruto arrives at the headmaster's office with Professor Tia. The headmaster, Teresa Montpellier, greets them and asks why Haruto is there. Professor Tia reports that one of her students completed a difficult task. She says they found a rare existence called a demon. Haruto nervously admits it was him. Professor Tia shows evidence of the holy weapons they were asked to recover, and that they successfully completed the task. The headmaster is impressed and checks the stakes and their texture. She learns they found them at the 30th level, and Haruto saved one of his students from the demon. The presentation ends, and Professor Tia explains their findings further. Headmaster Teresa was impressed by the transformation of the frivolous Oni into a giant demon beast, and was amazed as the Black Warrior defeated the bipedal wolf-like demon. Haruto explained how the holy weapon Pile Catastrophe played a crucial role in their victory. The great sage Granfeld had named the weapon. The little professor with glasses knew about the weapon's name, but did not inform others. Professor Tia confirmed that they had completed the task, although she could not say for sure if the armor was a holy weapon or not. Headmaster Teresa congratulated Haruto for completing the assignment. Haruto did a dance of delight, and the headmaster asked if he had made a contract with the holy armor, now belonging to Shiva. Haruto revealed that Iris Philia was the contractor. The weapon's handling needed to be discussed with the House of Lords. Haruto was exempted from practical exams, but needed to pass written exams. Professor Tia was confident that Haruto could handle the level of the court wizard exam. Teresa Montpellier analyzes Haruto's excellent exam scores, suspecting that he cheated. She has no proof, but believes someone near him, possibly the Black Warrior Shiva, helped him cheat. Nonetheless, she decides to leave him be, and only report the results as they are. Tiarietta Russionel enters and discusses an ongoing project and mentions a girl, Mel, who Teresa is familiar with. Mel is revealed to be Mercumenes, an apostle of the demon god Lucifera. Teresa erases Mercumenes' memories and tells her to live as a simple human girl. In Professor Tia's research building, a victory celebration party was held for Haruto's perfect scores on his written exams. He attributed his success to a good night's sleep and using the surveillance and communication barriers. Riza appeared exhausted, but Haruto thanked her. The headmaster granted Haruto an exemption from all classes, which made Char very happy. Char also shared some personal good news, but did not disclose the details. Later on, Iris arrived with Mel, an illegitimate child who she had recently taken under her care, and who was now affectionately calling Haruto Mama. Haruto was surprised, but learned that Mel's memories had been hypnotically sealed by the headmaster. Iris and Professor Tia explained that Mel's intense desire to find her mother had led her to connect Haruto with her, and so Haruto asked Frey and Riza to take care of Mel as if she were him. In 2 years, Haruto planned to graduate and live comfortably in his shut-in house. Haruto has obtained exemption from classes and will graduate in 2 years, but still needs to be active on campus. He lounges around in his futon and realizes he left a copy android named Haruto C in Professor Tia's research building. His little sister Charlotte bursts into his room wearing a uniform and followed by her attendant Riza. Haruto stays in bed while Tiarietta, a professor in the laboratory, wakes him up and asks him to work on his research. Haruto is annoyed, but Tiarietta says that understanding the magic he controls can open up a world of possibilities. Tiarietta informs Haruto that Charlotte has transferred to the institute and chosen her lab, to Haruto's surprise. Haruto learns that his little sister Charlotte has secretly transferred to the same magic academy as him. Professor Tia reveals that Charlotte has exceptional skills and is expected to excel at practical abilities. Haruto worries about impeding Charlotte's potential, but is reassured by Professor Tia that being with him is what Charlotte wants. Later, Charlotte surprises Haruto by revealing that she is attending the same academy and will be in the same laboratory as him. Haruto is happy to spend more time with his sister. Class A is tense as a transfer student is joining. The student is only 11 and the treasured child of a mysterious Margrave. Charlotte Zemphis is her name, and she quickly melts the tension with her adorable smile. Everyone is fascinated by her loveliness and ability. Charlotte reveals that Haruto Zemphis is her brother, and he is known for his incredible abilities. 2 people have witnessed them firsthand. In class, Charlotte impresses with her abilities in attribute theory oin and magic shooting. In magic and physical arts class, she dodges Rias's attacks, but is eventually able to take him down with a joint technique. The tank top instructor is impressed with her abilities and raises his biceps in admiration. Haruto C is a copy android made by Haruto Zemphis, a reincarnated wizard. He's staying in Professor Tia's research building while Haruto Zemphis is away. Professor Belcom comes in, demanding Haruto to help with some math equations, and offers him gold coin as payment. Haruto is not good at math, but Iris, who usually works part-time as a delivery person, agrees to help. Haruto later finds out that Professor Tia is doing something suspicious in the lab. After Professor Belcom leaves, Haruto and Iris are the only ones left in the room. Haruto goes back to his room to watch anime and is approached by Mel, who calls him Mama Look-alike and asks where Mama is. Haruto directs her to the shut-in house and sends her off through a magic device. Later, Haruto is interrupted by a physical training instructor who wants to learn a technique Haruto seemingly showed in class. Iris interjects that Haruto didn't show anything, but then offers to help the instructor learn anyway. Other people start coming to Haruto for advice, and he soon learns that Charlotte Zemphis has been praising him to others. Hurt C, a copy of Haruto, is angry about all the requests for help and advises Haruto to go on a trip to get away from it all, while Haruto decides to involve Professor Tia to help him out. Haruto's shut-in copy is visited by lost people due to his little sister Charlotte's behavior. He cries out to Professor Tia for help, and she agrees. Haruto later asks Irisfilia for assistance, but she declines. He then enlists the help of Princess Marianne and Prince Rias, who reluctantly agree. Haruto returns to his shut-in life, where he is bombarded with questions from his diligent child and asks for his sister's help in teaching her Japanese. With these issues resolved, Haruto resumes his peaceful life as a shut-in. The shut-in house is by the lake with a covered resting area nearby, where Charlotte and 3 others were sitting along with new knight Tia. Frey, Riza, and Johnny had mixed reactions to Tia's appointment. Gigan, a summoned beast, appeared and caught Tiarietta's attention. Irisfilia, a former demon king, was also there and worried about being recognized by Frey. When Charlotte mentioned Irisfilia's name, Frey and Riza were surprised. Frey went on to announce Haruto as the reincarnation of the Demon Lord. Charlotte was excited to enter the Overlord route and to uncover the dark organization controlling the academy. Tiarietta and Irisfilia were puzzled. Due to making royalty his contact points, the number of consultants seeking Haruto's advice significantly decreased. His sister, Charlotte, returned to their log house in high spirits to meet someone important. Haruto followed her using an optical camouflage barrier and found himself outside an old apartment complex where Charlotte entered a designated room to change. Haruto noticed a wooden box with the number 7 on it, which Charlotte opened to reveal some empty bottles and a white hooded Kanto robe. Inside a mysterious room, Charlotte introduced herself as the newly chosen number 7 inches of the Omoshiro group, leaving Haruto confused. Haruto sat in the dimly lit room, surrounded by people wearing white hoods. One of them was his sister, assigned the number 7. He wondered why she joined this group, which he believed was creating a black history. Charu listened intently to the group's philosophy, while Haruto worried about the impact it might have on her. After the meeting ended, Haruto stayed back to learn more about the group. They discussed their plans to win over Charu and Haruto, and even hoped to bring in the Thunder Princess with the support of the cult. Haruto surprised the Queen by appearing in Black Shiva mode, hoping to annoy the group. Haruto visits his mother and wants nothing to do with the woman who has done him and his family wrong. He needs to keep her alive for balance in the country. She is collared, but still has ambition, and is going to contact a group at the academy. Haruto wants to keep his sister safe and warns her not to put the students in danger. Giselotta is interested in Alexei Guberg, and Haruto advises her to leave him as the only contact to extract information. Giselotta considers joining forces with Haruto against the Lucifera cult, but Haruto warns her that they are dangerous. Shiva, the black cloth man, disappears and Giselot is frightened. She hears a voice in her head and her consciousness is cut off. The male student read on a bench as the female student, Zara, approached him and made sarcastic comments. They talked about the Queen, and Alexei expressed concern over her seemingly cheerful mood. Queen Giselot then unexpectedly arrived at the academy alone and visited the dean, Teresa Montpellier, without prior notice. Teresa was surprised to see her and questioned how she was there, but Queen Giselot reassured her with a barrier. They sat down to talk, and the scene ended. Queen Giselot is no longer herself after a possible resurrection using a human as a substitute. Teresa is relieved to hear that the Queen's spirit is safe and in a dreamy state, but is warned not to remove Giselot from her host's body. Giselot shows Teresa her severed head and explains the special effects of her collar, revealing that the Black Warrior Shiva performed the magic on the Queen. Giselot asks Teresa not to reveal her existence to anyone, especially the man who is trying to get through the barrier. She warns Teresa that he is not on her side and calls her a treacherous god-slayer. Haruto enjoys fishing by a quiet lake despite being a shut-in, while nearby Charu's group has a round-table discussion. Members speculate on why the Queen and Numbers have joined forces, with Charu suggesting an imminent threat. The group decides on special training, and Professor Tia confirms the existence of a global threat. Although Haruto doesn't participate, Professor Tia's mysterious tube magic impresses him. Haruto is reincarnated in a world where magic is essential and the maximum magic level is fixed from birth. One can increase the level with effort. Professor Tia conducts an experiment on Haruto, increasing his magic level. However, the experiment comes with side effects, giving Tia doubts about using it on others. Tia suggests using the students at the academy as test subjects, especially those who want to change the world. Tia plans to experiment on the top student, Zara. Haruto worries about burdening her, but Tia looks forward to stripping her down and restraining her midair for the experiment. Zara Yessel was born into a Marquis family with low capabilities, and her family didn't expect much from her. Her father expected to bring a child with high potential into the Yessel family. Zara went to the best school in the country, but she didn't care for aristocratic traditions and enjoyed free love. Senior year, only males that were after quick pleasure approached her. The most talented student on campus, Alexei Guber, confessed his love for her in a mutually beneficial relationship, but she was no longer interested. Zara, having lost interest in him, was interested in Haruto Zemphis. She despaired at her life's limitations, but was chosen as a disposable vessel in an experiment by Baron Valagos. During a confrontation, a mysterious man in black called Zara a demon. Haruto oversleeps after watching anime all night in a log cabin by a lake. His alter ego, Heart C, contacts him with emergency news of a visit from Zara-senpai, a classmate with an interest in him. Haruto agrees to meet with her at the research building, where he finds Zara-senpai waiting for him. She expresses her interest in him and asks if he has a girlfriend. Haruto declines her advances and tries to end the conversation, but before he can, Professor Tia enters the room, and Haruto uses a warding to restrain Zara-senpai. He sees that she has no visible magic level, just like the demon Valagos that he previously encountered. The group reaches chapter 100, leaving Zara confused as she's suddenly immobilized. She suspects Shiva is controlling a puppet, but isn't sure. Zara plays along with Shiva's accusation of her being a demon and provides some false information to avoid further harm. Suddenly, Zara's body is taken over by a demon god, Lucifera. The group manages to dispel the possession and learns that the Queen is also possessed by Lucifera, with a potential final battle between mother and son. The group questions the purpose of the demon god's presence. Queen Giselot is possessed by a demonic god and needs to be dealt with. The group is training to power up, with Charu leading the charge. Haruto plans to secretly help them from the shadows. He also plans to figure out the mysterious tube that protrudes from the back, which is the concept of the magic level. Zara-senpai is his collaborator. They decide to solve the mystery together, despite Zara's unease. She takes off her clothes, revealing tubes on her back. There are holes in some places, as if to say, "Please insert a tube here." Haruto is puzzled by this. Haruto inspects the holes in Zara-senpai's back, but can't see what's inside. He decides to leave them alone and focuses on the tubes in the ground. After trying to pull them out multiple times, he decides to try cutting them. However, he realizes that he can't break them and hears moaning sounds from Zara-senpai. He decides to level up and begins connecting tubes when Zara-senpai suddenly faints. A medical team is called in just in case. Later, Haruto plugs one of the tubes into Zara-senpai's back, increasing her maximum magic level. The team is shocked at this development. Haruto has figured out how to raise the maximum magic level using the magic level conceptual tube that grows out of the back. It's difficult to raise the level due to the tremendous strain it puts on the body and mind. However, he's been successful in raising 1 or 2 levels. Haruto kept this secret from Charu and Iris. Frey's current magic level was raised by 16 and was experiencing pain. Haruto had also raised Risa's level to the max of 71, but it was painful for her too, and she was currently resting in bed. When Charu and Iris turn to their human form, their magic power is halved. Haruto decides to stop the waterfall exercises and try throwing logs down a waterfall instead. Natalia Zemphis unexpectedly meets Haruto and Charu's friends at the lake, and they decide to go to the hot spring together. Despite keeping secrets from his family, Haruto's mother trusts in him and Frey. Haruto and Rias sat on one side of a board wall in the open-air bath, separated from the 4 girls. Marianne was hesitant, but decided to join them. Charlotte revealed that a secret student council-like organization called Numbers was trying to take over the academy under the control of the Lucifera cult. Rias was shocked to hear the cult's name, suspecting his mother's involvement. In the women's bath, the girls discussed the serious atmosphere emanating from the other side. Haruto's relaxed words gave Rias strength to take action against his mother. In the room, there was something waiting. Though intangible and invisible, it exuded a pure power and pressure that could take one's life. Alexei believed it to be a god or a comparable being. The being was interested in Alexei's insight and intelligence, but not in anyone who lacked despair. It sought to find a new vessel since its previous one was unavailable, and found Alexei suitable. The being could grant him power, but Alexei didn't want to lose his self-consciousness. However, the being promised that he may retain most of his ego if he had an unshakable will. Alexei agreed to the being's proposal and was bestowed with power. Alexei's memory was flooded with surprise as he learned that the cult of the demon god, Lucifera, was organized by its servant to revive the demon god. Alexei later visited Zara Yesel, the previous vessel, but found out that she had become weak and was recuperating at the residence of the Marquis in the royal capital. Charlotte Zemphis and Haruto Zemphis were also present. Haruto found Zara with her siblings. Alexei suspects that the siblings are related to the Black Warrior Shiva. He's careful not to reveal any change in personality or behavior. Alexei tells Charlotte about their group's ideals and asks for her brother's involvement. He wants to bring in influential people to keep the numbers in balance. He also asks for Marianne and Rias to join. Alexei pretends to have a confession of love to talk to Zara privately. After leaving the room, Haruto reflects on Charu's intentions and doesn't trust him. Haruto is not interested in peeping into others' private lives, except when it involves a demon god. He suspects that a demon or a demon god possessing Zara-senpai is behind the tubes he saw growing out of Alexei-senpai's back. To confirm his suspicion, Haruto monitors their secret meetings with a barrier over Zara-senpai's eye and ear. Alexei proposes to marry Zara-senpai, who expresses her desire for free love. Haruto reminds her of his experiment to raise the magic level and warns her to keep it secret. Despite showing signs of suspicion, Zara-senpai divulges that she was involved in the experiment, which caused her to collapse from backflow of magic power. Haruto suggests resolving the conflict with numbers through discussion, but Charu predicts a battle. Marianne and Rias were approached by Haruto to join the secret organization Numbers and debunk their dangerous ideas. Haruto explained the organization's philosophy and main activity, which mainly involved holding meetings undercover while wearing masks. The organization was known to be involved with the Lucifera cult and was made up of aristocratic factions who wanted to take control of the country. Marianne and Rias agreed to join, but felt uncomfortable going in without Haruto. They decided to take Frey, a red-haired woman, as their secret weapon to get past the academy's entrance. They planned to ask Alexei-senpai directly about joining the organization. The chaotic situation involved a group of masked individuals, including new members, Princess Marianne and Prince Rias. A man named Fletch Zempos, who claimed to be an exchange student, provoked suspicion. Alexei, who was unmasked, calmed down the agitated group and explained his invitation of the royals to the meeting. The masked group was revealed to be part of the Lucifera cult, which prompted the princess to warn them of the cult's dangerous intentions. The revelation of the cult's plot to resurrect a demon god ignited a debate that culminated in a showdown between the groups. Alexei, in contrast, seemed to be suffering from a headache. Alexei considers the impact of Princess Marianne and Prince Rias joining the numbers, which could further destabilize the country. He did not reveal his plans to avoid leaking information to Shiva and to prevent the princess from doubting him. He thinks Charlotte's attendant's wild proposal to fight directly is interesting. Alexei meets with the dean, who is aware that he is possessed, and discusses the proposal for the duel between the princesses and the numbers. Alexei suggests an exploration of the Olympian ruins, and Teresa agrees, but sets the rules. Meanwhile, Haruto is sleeping in his room.